Hello again. It's me Caner. I am with you with another video. Today we are gonna have another pilot talk. Pilot talk April 2022. Yeah guys, this month I was really busy with flying and I have done many things for the first time. So it's gonna be an awesome pilot talk video series. I hope I will be contributing a lot for you. Let's get started. My first flight in this month was Japan to Tokyo, but before that I got 2 days off and a rest day, and finally it was time for me to fly to Japan. I really love Japan flights. Though it was my first time, I really enjoyed it. We generally fly 2 different destinations in Japan. First flight to Narita and second flight to Haneda. These are actually both Tokyo, but it's in different locations in Tokyo City. So when we fly to Narita, we stay in the airport hotel. But if you fly to Haneda, we stay in the city center. But to be honest, it's not that important because still in Asia, COVID restrictions are present there. So therefore, it is not important where you fly. These flights are around 9-10 hours. I will give details about it, but we are 3 pilots. That's what I want to say. As I previously discussed these topics, guys, 2 pilots are flying and 1 guy is resting. So the flights is like crew complement is 2 captain and 1 first officer. So you have a time to rest. So it's not that tiring. Now I will give flight details to you. The first sectors are always shorter when flying to Asia. We have discussed this topic because winds are westerly, so they're pushing you to your destinations. So it was shorter, 10 hours, 5 minutes. But on the way back, it was a long flight, 11 hours, 45 minutes. And on the first sector, we flew over Himalayas. That was first time for me. I was so impressed by seeing the summit of the mountains. They're huge. Normally, you could hear K2, Mount Everest, so the summit of these mountains are like really high and you cannot comprehend. But when you are flying there and you see them how gigantic they are, you are surprised. I was amazed. I have recorded many videos for you guys. I'll put here so you can see the mountains and how tall they are. The summits of these mountains are really above 25,000 feet, and most of the 8,000 meters above mountains, people are climbing there by using supplemental oxygens. And when you're flying there, you are, as I told you before, amazed because sometimes you are really full and taking lots of fuel with you, so you're cruising at an altitude of 31,000 feet, and you can see the peaks of the mountains are reaching more than 25,000 feet. And when you literally look down, you can see the mountain's peak. And you're like, wow, that's absolutely beautiful, but at the same time it's scary. And because of that, we most of the time have special procedures while flying over Himalayas. For instance, in case of drift down or engine failure, you have specific escape routes. So therefore, it's extremely important to maintain your situational awareness all the time. Where am I? Where am I flying to? If something happens, which escape route am I going to use? What alternatives do I have? And where should I go? Those are critical questions you should ask yourself all the time while flying. And this is extremely important. In our route from Dubai to Tokyo, while flying over Himalayas, as you can see from the video, all summits of the mountains are on the right-hand side. So in that case, if God forbids, if engine failure or drift down happens, you need to take a left turn to avoid the mountain peaks, because if you lose an engine, you cannot maintain your altitude. You need to descend. Likewise, if you have a depressurization in the airplane, you need to descend to come 10,000 feet or MSA as quickly as possible. So specific escape routes are designed, and there is even some small portion in the route that you cannot turn right because it's prohibited. No matter how you make a calculations, if you fly with this small portion, you cannot make it. If you lose your engine at the critical time and you initiate turn towards right, you cannot clear the mountain. This is really good. This is my job and I love it so much. One day you are flying over mountains, next day you are alone on the polar route. I really love it. So that was a unique experience for me. That was first time for me. Flight was nice. We flew 3 pilots. I had some rest, and finally we arrived Tokyo. Tokyo normally is a very busy when it comes to airplane traffic. But because of the pandemic right now, the numbers are not that high, and still you can feel it when you went inside the airport. It's not that crowded. Nowadays, when we fly Europe, airports are that crowded, and because they have shortage of staff and everything. But when you go to Japan, you can see it still is an empty airport. Anyways, we arrived Japan. Guys, unfortunately, I didn't go out because we were not allowed to leave the hotel. But I have a small trip from the airport to the hotel. I must say that Japan is a very clean country. People are also very neat, respectful. They are really amazing. I've seen for the first time in my life, bus driver just picked us with a suit. I've never seen somewhere else. But Japan, people are taking their job serious. I love Japanese culture. I love how they approach to the problems. How do they approach to their jobs and everything. This is really nice. When you step out from the airplane, you can see people are smiling. Airport is clean, neat, tidy, you name it. But that's really good. When you drive on the streets, everywhere is nice, well organized. It's really nice. I've never been in Japan before. I wish I could have recorded a vlog for you guys, but no, now we cannot leave the hotel rooms. But when the rule has changed, I will bid for a Japan flight for you, and you can see Tokyo or some other surrounding cities. That being said, I will continue with my Japan experiences. I love Japanese food. The hotel was nice. We were able to come down, eat food that was really nice, delicious. It was a blend of Japanese and Western cultures when it comes to food. So it was nice. I loved it so much. And also, I had some struggle with Japanese toilets. They're very well known, and unfortunately, they had 20,000 of buttons. It is almost as complex as flying an airplane. I'm not kidding. That was really strange experience for me. And that being said, unfortunately in Japan, not many people can speak English fluently. So it's a little bit hassle when it comes to, how can I say, ask questions, get a direction or something. But still, somehow, thanks to Google Translate or some other apps, you can still communicate. That was it. That was short layover. I didn't go out. Return sector was easy, longer than the first flight, but still there were no issues at all. I arrived to Dubai and I was ready to be a tour guide. When I come back, I had 3 days off, and then my friends from Turkey visited me. I will add some pictures of them. We have done many things in Dubai, but guys, I got really tired. Normally days off are days off for you to get relaxed and chill out, but I was very busy. And actually I was supposed to fly India for a layover. Since they were here, I just asked for live leave. We have something called live leave. Live leave, basically, if you have a flight, if you don't want to fly, or if you are busy, if you want to have something else, you ask for a live leave. Then, very short notice period, they can either approve it or reject it. I was lucky enough, they got approved my leave. So, but you learn the results of the action 1 day before. I asked live leave 4 days ago, but 1 day before I learned that they approved, but that was okay. I was in Dubai, so I didn't fly for 7 days in a row. I was with my friends and we enjoyed. I showed them around. I was a tour guide. After days off, normally I was supposed to fly Dhaka, Bangladesh. But a couple of days before the flight, I got a swap request. So guys, in my company, we are able to swap our flights. You can swap over swap. You have some flexibility. So basically, you can change the flights between the current ranks. Let's say first officers are able to change the flights between first officers and captains with the captains, instructors with instructors. So a first officer sent me a swap request. He asked my Bangladesh flight, and in return he gave me a Paris layover. I said, why not? Because I had lost an Indian turnaround I was supposed to get paid. But now the guy offered me longer flights for a shorter flight. So I was able to compensate what I have lost for flying hours. So, and also for me, flying Europe is better. So I have exchanged it. So basically, instead of flying Bangladesh, I flew to Paris. All right, I will give you a quick statistic about the flights. First sector was 7 hours 9 minutes, and the return sector, as expected, is shorter, 6 hours 19 minutes. It's a medium range flight. I've been in Paris many times. I went there for vacation, so that was a good flight. I love Paris. What I would like to talk a little bit about the Charles de Gaulle Airport. That's really big and huge. And also, there are lots of threats in this airport. First of all, there are simultaneous parallel approaches and parallel departures in this airport. And airport structure is very complex, and French is used in this airport actively. So I don't know French, and most of the pilots do not know as well, as long as they are French or French speakers. So basically, when you communicate with in English, so you can understand where are the other airplanes, what they are doing, are they climbing, descending, what altitude. But when you don't know French, it's very challenging because you can only hear and listen the English communication, then you can understand, but you don't know any idea what's going on around. So it's really hard to make hard to comprehend 3D model. So it's really difficult. But ATC is there, so you're not struggling. When they're talking to you, they're talking in English, and you exactly follow what they say. And you shouldn't make a mistake because you don't know where are they, what they're talking with the other French-speaking airplanes. And you there, since there are like parallel approaches there, you need to establish ILS even though they don't clear to the ILS approach. This is very unique. Most of the time, it's not like this, but it's specified in the Charles de Gaulle's AOIs that once you get the final turn towards the localizer, if you are not clear the ILS, still you need to establish the localizer. That's one of the few airfields that I have seen like this. And also, we landed, we parked it. I have experience about the Paris Charles de Gaulle Airport, so it was not a big deal. I've been these European big airports for a lot of time because I was flying for Turkish Airlines. I've been there such a long time, and it's day by day you gain experience. You don't feel that stressed. And we parked there, we went to the hotel. It was an airport hotel. To be honest, I didn't feel like I would like to go out because I like Paris, do not get me wrong, I would like to do many things, but the level was 24 hours and I was extremely tired because my friends were with me. I feel extremely lazy to go out. So I stayed in the hotel, I got some rest, and I was ready for the return sector. Return sector was shorter, then I arrived to Dubai. Then I came to Dubai, 2 days off, then thereafter, time to fly Lisbon. Actually, in my original roster, I was supposed to fly Birmingham. But again, another FO sent me a swap request. He asked my Birmingham flight. In return, he gave me Lisbon. I said, okay. Actually, now I'm thinking that I won't flown my original roster, guys. I only flew to Tokyo. I got, India, live leave. Then I got Paris, in return my Bangladesh, and I got Lisbon. I was supposed to fly Birmingham. If I knew it, that was that bad, I would never swap it because Lisbon is a good destination. It's like Istanbul. I love Lisbon a lot, but you know what? Lisbon is one of the most challenging airports in Europe. I'm not kidding. It's always gusty, you're always struggling, and there's always wind shear there. So basically, airplanes are struggling a lot. And guess what? That was exactly what was happening to me. I'm gonna try to find the videos of Lisbon airport while airplanes are trying to land. You can see how they're fighting. There's a gust in incredible amount of wind, and it's like, I'm not talking about 5-10 knots, guys. I'm talking about here 40 knots, 45 knots gusts. And gust means like changing speed and direction all the time, and that's why it's hard to stabilize the airplane. So the captain was flying that. He did an amazing job. Normally, guys, 777 is a very clean airplane, and he's huge. So it's not that affected by the winds and everything compared to 737. 737 is small, so when wind hits the airplane, so it's always changing heading, altitude, and everything, you need to fight really, really hard. But 777 most of the time is stable, and I've never seen that weather in my life. That was the worst weather that I have experienced with 777. And Lisbon, Amsterdam, and Düsseldorf, these 3 airports in Europe, they're always challenging, and you can see thousands of videos in the internet, and this is really nasty. And we were experienced and exposed this nasty weather in Lisbon. Guys, last maybe 10 minutes was like in my life, I would say like 3 days. mentally wise, I was really tired because the parameters are changing up and down, you know. Heading, you cannot keep it. You need to fight with the wind and everything. And also, the previous airplane in front of us, they made a go round and they diverted because that was already their second go round. And it was, you know, most of the airplane just went around. I thought that we are going to go around as well. Once you make a go around, you can try one more time. But the second time after this weather issues, you need to divert. And I've never diverted before with 777. I thought that it's going to be that time I'm going to divert. But Captain did an amazing job. We kept the airplane. We just went there. We didn't get any wind shear warning, though there was a wind shear, you know, wind was changing direction. We landed there, but also we were lucky, you know. You never guess what's gonna happen. Wind is just calming down, increasing the intensity in speed and direction is changing. It's just a matter of seconds. If you are lucky in that point, you land. If you are not lucky in that point, you just go around. That's exactly what happened to us, and we landed. But the previous airplanes were just going around. After us, we just catch a good slot, everyone started landing. Literally after 10 minutes, everyone started making go-arounds. But long story short, that was really tiring flight. The first sector was 8 hours 16 minutes and the return sector was 7 hours 10 minutes. So return sector was relatively okay. Level was nice. Normally I will always go out, but that time my simulator was coming up, so I had to study. I didn't go out. Hotel is really beautiful. I stayed indoor. I slept as soon as I came to hotel room because, you know, I felt like I'm exhausted. Then thereafter, I studied a little bit and that was the day. I have done nothing. I ate some nice seafood there. I love Portugal. I love seafood. Restaurants are there amazing. So I got my dinner and lunch. That was it. Return sector was easy. Weather was not that intense, but still you could feel it, you know. We were fighting with the controls while taking off. And thereafter, we went to Dubai and I was ready for my simulator sessions. Guys, simulator sessions, normally we have two different simulators for, we call it PPC, but now it has been changed. Normally pilots are having OPC, LPC or PPC depending on the country, company. Basically, they are all the same. So what we are doing once every 6 months, we are practicing non-normals. So you need to show confidence, you need to meet the minimum requirement at least, and you need to improve yourself to a better point. So that's the main point. We always practice non-normals once, because within 3-year time frame, you have to tick the boxes for each airplane systems. For instance, hydraulic, landing gear, engine malfunction, flight control problems, FMC failures. This kind of all things in QRH, you need to at least repeat one of these malfunctions within a certain group. This is exactly what's happening in the simulator. So I prepared for it. I went there. It was a 2-day session. Basically, first day starts with a check. So yes, as soon as you jump in the simulator, you are in check. That's how it is here. So basically they are telling you, you need to be prepared for everything. But in my previous company, we were having first training day, second day was check. Here, first, when you jump in the simulator, you have a check. Then we had engine problems, single engine go around, single engine approach, single engine landing. And based on this, we move to the next ones. There's maneuver trainings. Maneuver trainings are changing based on the, you know, how can I say, based on the schedule, let's put that way, because each time in the simulator you practice something else. You practice GPS jamming, VOR approaches, raw data VOR approaches. It's not as easy as what you can think, because 777 is a huge airplane. It's normally, even if you fly GPS VOR approaches, is VOR overlaid GPS. You are using GPS signals. But when you have GPS jamming, you cannot use GPS signal, so map shift can happen. So you need to fly like all-style traditional flying, but as in 777 we don't have course selector. You need to set it in the CDU. That's this kind of practices. That was day first, and the second day we also practiced some CBT scenario-based training. What we have done, what can we do. It's pure training so you can improve yourself. That was it. Generally, you need to study. I studied a lot. I passed. No issue, no drama. but there was a challenging sessions. So literally you have to focus and you need to study, because whatever results you're getting, it will be in your folder. So no one wants to get a low grades. That's the thing. And also right now my company has transited to evidence-based training called EBT. That's a really good thing. It's based on evidence, so each examiner and instructor, they can see what you need to improve. At the end of day 2, you can get a result. So it's like 2 days evaluation, though you have the first day check at the beginning. At the end of the 2 days, you will be said either you passed or you get objective achieved additional training, or your objectives not achieved. So I'm not using the correct terms, but the main point is not to discuss the basics of EBT. It's just I'm trying to give you rough information about the simulator. That's it, guys. After 2 days, that was it, and I was ready for the last flight of the month. Last flight of the month was to Dallas. I was really excited because there were many firsts in this flight. I was flying for the first time to Dallas. I was gonna meet my friend after such a long time. He is living in Austin and he was gonna go there, but I didn't know that if they're gonna change my flight or not. And the third thing, I was gonna fly over polar route that I have never flew before. Let me give you a quick statistic about the flight. The first sector was 15 hours 45 minutes and the return sector was 14 hours 51 minutes. It's a little bit complicated. It took me 3 minutes to memorize these flying times for you guys. Yeah, first sector, I was extremely lucky because I was augmenting. So I took initial rest. We took off midnight, so it was good for me. I slept more than around 7 hours, and thereafter, as soon as I jumped in the controls, so it was time for polar route. Guys, you can think of why do we fly over polar region? That's the one explanation for that. Normally, we are trying to fly great circles. It was not 100% great circle, but the great circle is the shortest distance point between point A and the point B. So basically, when you're flying this kind of route, airplanes and the airlines are trying to maximize their profits and minimize their cost. So if you fly a shorter distance, you'll burn less fuel. That's the reason. When you have a look at the, let's say, Earth shape here, if you travel like this, it's longer. But when you fly like this over the polar route, it's shorter and you burn less fuel. Let me give you an example. If you start flying from Dubai, you go all the way up north to Russia, and you pass through North Pole, come down for Seattle, Los Angeles, or San Francisco. In that case, your flight time is shorter rather than traveling, Dubai, Iraq, Turkey, Europe, over Atlantic, then cross US. Because if you think of it, only for US, if you fly east to west in US, it's like 5 hours. And imagine you will cross plus North Atlantic, then plus all Europe, then Middle East. It's too long, guys. Easiest way and shortest way is fly over polar route. And when I jump in and when I take the controls, we were in the polar region. So let me give you some little theoretical knowledge about it. Normally, North Pole is a fixed point. But in the airplane, we are not flying based on true north. We are flying based on magnetic north. Magnetic north is not a constant point. It changes over the time. So magnetic point of the Earth is changing. The angle between true north and the magnetic north is called variation. So remember this word, variation. Normally, when we navigate from point A to point B, we use magnetic north. Magnetic north takes into account the variation. So each time the computer calculates the variation, whatever you see the points, you go there. Because when you have a random routing, random routings are true. So when you write like north 55, 30 west, or 25 west, 54 north. When you talk a certain latitude and longitude, in that case, you are meaning true. But when you are navigating, computer calculates magnetic variation. All right, when you get closer to the North Pole, the magnetic variation between, true north and the magnetic north is getting higher and higher degree-wise. So it is no more reliable to continue with the magnetic orientation. So airplane automatically switch to true north. You keep flying a certain line, but your angle, you can see, is changing because variation is changing. It's very unique and very nice. Normally, it's really rare to fly over the North Pole if you're operating a small airplane. But if you're flying for a wide body and if you're covering half of the world, you can fly these routes. And most of the time, you're flying northern part of the things. Still, there are theoretically, some certain routes that can go through Antarctica. For instance, if you're flying from, let's say, Cape Town to New Zealand, you can theoretically design a route which is crossing the Antarctica. But, it's not that common. But northern part of the world is very busy and aviation is extremely populated there. So some airlines are using it quite often. And my airline is one of the, I would say maybe top 3 airlines using this North Pole routes. So this is how it is. You start flying, then magnetic directions getting unreliable, then you switch to real north, true north, then you start flying true north navigation, then you pass through to North Pole from Russia directly to Canada, and you start coming south and south and south and south. After a certain time, you can see CDUs, your FMS, automatically switch back to magnetic calculations because now magnetic variation is reliable after a certain latitude. So polar flights are considered as real polar when they're above 82 north latitude. So basically, if you fly north of 82, it's counted as polar flight. That's it, guys. When you start flying polar route, more you get closer to the North Pole, the communication is degraded. So, there's no airport around. Maybe the closest airport that you can divert is like 2 hours away. So basically, these flights are ETO flights, and the earliest option that you can divert is 2 hours away. When you think of it, maybe 2 hours is nothing. But imagine, in the critical moment, if you get an engine failure, you need to fly more than 2 hours with a single engine. Or if you have a sick passenger, you need to fly 2 hours, 30 minutes before you reach an alternate. This alternate can be really bad alternate, It's in the middle of Greenland or somewhere else. The airports in Russia, they are good, you can divert, but it depends where you are. It's extremely challenging flight. If everything goes all right, it's okay. But when you're approaching the polar, North Pole, SATCOM, you cannot communicate with the company. There's no VHF coverage. HF there, but basically it's really difficult to communicate with someone. But, long story short, you are alone. You are there alone on your own. If everything goes all right, it's all right. And I was looking around, I was recording nice videos for you guys, and we were so close to the North Pole. That was a really unique experience for me. I've recorded nice shots for you. I'm gonna put how is it like, flying over North Pole, and you can see it. Normally, weather phenomena over North Pole is okay because you don't see any weather events there because normally tropopause there is low, so all this bad weather cannot go that up, and most of the time you have clear skies. And also you can see that is 6 months daylight, 6 months night. Regardless of how we are flying, we were flying there and you could see it. That was really unique experience for me. Guys, that was the awesome thing, maybe one of the most beautiful moments of flying for me. For me, the ticking the box, flying over North Pole. I don't know if I can fly over Antarctica or South Pole, but let's see. That was really good. After flying over North Pole, we just come southerly, and then you start flying over Canada all the way down to Dallas. I really love Dallas layover. It's Dallas Fort Worth Airport is literally in the middle of 2 big metropoles, so airport is literally in between. And my friend Enes drove there. I have recorded some nice vlog for you guys. That's why I'm not gonna talk about my Dallas layover, but I will place some hints all around the video so you can have a look at my Dallas vlog once I upload the video on YouTube. Alright, that being said, I was there for 2 days, and it was time for me to return to Dubai. And return sector was southerly routes, like a North Atlantic crossing, still random routing, but not like North Atlantic tracks, but that was still northern part of North Atlantic tracks. Alright guys, that was it. That was the end of April 2022. In this month, I flew to Tokyo, Paris, Lisbon and Dallas. That was an amazing flights for me, and I asked one live lift, so instead of 5 flights, I had 4 flights. In this month, I flew 81 hours, 19 minutes. Yeah, most of the flights were long. And when I checked my roster, I had 10 days off. Then I get 3 annual leave that I asked for some certain flight in India. So I got this 3 days annual leave, 10 days off, and I got 4 rest days. So 10 plus 3 plus 4, I was at home for 17 days. When I add 2 days simulator, it was 19, and I was on duty for 11 days. So during these 11 days, I was traveling around the world. But that's it, guys. That concludes April 2022 flights. But now it's your turn. As usual, this is the end of our video. I want to say you something. Please, please, please do not forget to subscribe my channel. Do not forget to like my videos and hit the bell button to get the notifications once I upload the new video. I am really motivated, even though I'm not getting many views, but I'm recording these videos for you guys because I knew I got really good comments. Some of you texted me that you as a pilot, you want to learn how is it like being, and also for student pilots, it's good for them to learn what am I doing as an airline pilot. These comments are motivating me. Please do not forget to send your comments as well. That being said, see you in the May 2022 Pilot Talks. Bye bye.